Alex Carter will lead two PCMA Business School sessions on negotiating during Convening Leaders 2025. But this United Nations negotiation trainer and Columbia Law School professor will not be helping participants prep for battle. Her approach is more about steering than winning. Advice for planners: you don't have to fear negotiation. Written and read by Michelle Russell, Editor-in-Chief at Convene, with excerpts from the original interview with Alex Carter.
Negotiation coach Alex Carter starts off her April 2024 TEDx talk, How to Ask for More and Get It, by saying the most important things she knows about negotiation she learned in a kayak. In the talk, which has more than 580,000 views at the time of this writing, she says that she had already been teaching negotiation strategies for a few years before getting into that kayak with her husband while honeymooning in Hawaii. But after the two of them flipped the boat over 3 times because they were each rowing their own way, the guide advised them that they would need to negotiate the kayak to the beach. Carter had never heard the word used that way, and she realized, she said, that she had been missing something important. Many of us have misconceptions about negotiation, she said. We're taught that it's a battle over money, that it involves losing. So we either fear it or we avoid it altogether. The idea of negotiation as a contest of wills was also flipped on its head that day. When I negotiate my kayak toward a beach, what am I doing? She asks. I'm steering. The first of 5 lessons she shared in her talk: negotiation is simply any conversation in which you are steering a relationship. Carter, a Columbia Law School professor, United Nations negotiation trainer, and author of the best-selling book, Ask for More, 10 Questions to Negotiate Anything, will lead 2 PCMA Business School sessions during Convening Leaders 2025 on January 14th. Strategies to ask for more and achieve better negotiation results, and a live coaching session directly afterwards. She shared with Convene how event organizers can steer relationships with their supplier partners with greater ease, and what Convening Leaders participants can expect to get out of her sessions. How would you sum up the way you think about negotiation?
So, when I tell people about my negotiation approach, I say simply, I don't request, I recruit. I never want to be talking to somebody across the table. I want to be figuring out, how do I write their victory speech in the course of also writing mine? I want to think about ways to use things like, questions to pull them around to my side of the table so that we're now co-conspirators working toward a common goal. People often talk about negotiation like you're facing off against your adversary. But in most businesses, especially in the event planning business, that quote-unquote adversary, the person who's running the hotel, the catering person, the designer you're contracting with to, hope to do your event, they become your partner once that negotiation is done. And you're working together to produce the best, most effective, most impactful event possible. So my entire approach is about thinking how I can work with the other person to produce something that's going to simultaneously be a good deal for my company, and also it's going to want to make them work with me over and over and over.
I love that, especially since our industry is very relationship-based. One of the things that planners bemoaned after the pandemic was the loss of relationships they had established with suppliers due to attrition. So your approach about building long-term relationships really resonates.
I'll say that one of the things I like to talk about is building thick relationships with each client, each supplier, each partner you're working with. So thinking about how you can avoid a situation where you only know one person at the venue. How can you simultaneously get to know multiple people there and have them get to know multiple people on your side? First of all, when you do that, it increases the odds that somebody connects and it becomes a really fruitful partnership. But also with so much volatility in the job market and, so many people moving from company to company or place to place, those thick, durable relationships not only mean that you might retain that current vendor as a partner, but maybe the original person you formed the relationship with likes you so much that wherever they go next, they're calling you to work together. One other thing, cardinal rule I have is never treat anybody like the pass-through. I don't care if I'm calling a hotel and I get somebody from the front desk on the phone. Never assume the amount of power or influence somebody has. When I get a front desk clerk, when I get the assistant to somebody I'm looking to talk to, I engage that person. I form a relationship with them. Sometimes I'll ask them how they're doing and how I could help them at their job. And I have found more times than I can count that person who initially picked up the phone has tremendous influence behind the scenes. And by treating them like a real partner, not the pass-through, you can turn them into an advocate for the deal.
Can you give us a sense of what Convening Leaders participants can expect from your sessions?
Well, I'm going to take folks on a journey of sorts. I want to show them some of the mistakes I made early on in my career. I thought about negotiations the wrong way. I went about it the wrong way. And there came one moment where I realized everything I'd learned had been wrong. And that moment was my honeymoon. So stay tuned if you want to know how that turned out. But I learned a powerful lesson about negotiation on my honeymoon that I have carried with me for the rest of my life. This one moment led me to be in the driver's seat, to inhabit the driver's seat of my career in a way that I had never felt before. And since that moment, I have traveled around the world sharing with people the few simple techniques they can use to not only feel confident and in command in any negotiation situation, but also to live according to their values. But in other words, we can do good in the process of doing well. We can simultaneously produce incredible events, have a thriving career, and also be the person that partners around the country and the world want to pick up the phone and do business with. We can make a lot of money and we can live in integrity. And so I hope from the stage, using a combination of research and personal stories to give people some hope, some inspiration, and some tactical tools that they can take with them and put them into practice that day. At the last event I did, somebody came up to me on the final day of the conference and said, I want you to know I negotiated something today that more than paid for my attendance at this event. Thank you so much.
Oh, how wonderful. Talk about instantaneously putting that into practice.
And that was actually a conference for event planners.
Oh, look at that.
This was a person who was about to undercut herself on an event. The event had grown much larger at the client's request than the original budget. The event planner went with it, executed perfectly on the new plan, and then almost cut her fee at the last minute without even going to the client first. And after hearing my talk and going through my workshop, we decided to approach the client in candor and said, simply, the plan changed. We created a beautiful new event together. Here's the investment. And the clients just looked and said, okay, and paid it.
Wow. Definitely
So,
more than paid for that person's registration.
Yes, it's more than paid for that person's registration.
Yeah.
So, one call. So my hope is that people will leave this experience with tools they can put into practice at work immediately, and also tools that will be helpful to them in their personal lives outside work, because we don't stop negotiating when we clock out for the day, right? So the tools I'm going to teach can be useful in any human relationship you have. I do not guarantee results on people under 18, but I have a teenager in the home and I'm still working on it.
Yeah.
But over and over, people tell me that these tools simply make their lives better. And that's what I want to share with them. You don't have to fear negotiation. It's just a conversation.
Why do you think many people have a distaste for negotiating?
I think people fear that it's going to be a fight or that they're going to get ripped off.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason they fear that is the old wisdom on negotiation was you're supposed to hold your cards close to the vest and spring a surprise on your adversary. Now, that may have worked before the age of the internet, but now there's so much information at people's fingertips that they're going to find it out anyway a lot of the time. And transparency is often the best bet. Like really negotiating from a place of, here's what I need to make this work. What do you need? And let's hammer it out. It's just a candid, straightforward, open-hearted conversation where you're treating it not like a car deal, but the beginning of a hopefully long-term relationship.
There are more women in event planning roles than men, but women are underrepresented in the C-suite. In your experience, do women approach negotiation differently than men when working with partners and also when negotiating for themselves?
So there are different pressures on women than men. And more recent research actually shows that women do negotiate as often as men do. It's just that women are much more likely to be denied, penalized for negotiating, or even lied to in negotiations. Mm-hmm. And so oftentimes I will see women adopting strategies to combat the pressure they might get from the other side by adopting certain kinds of negotiation strategies. One strategy that's really effective is what I call the we ask. Here's what I'm asking for, and here's how we all benefit. In other words, you're negotiating by tying what you're looking for to a communal concern. You're showing the other person that you've thought about what they need, and you know exactly how to achieve that. And when you negotiate this way, it takes down some of the potential fragility and hostility on the other side, and it makes it much, much more likely that what you're proposing is going to get accepted. This is a fantastic negotiation technique for people of all genders, but I find it works extremely well for women just because there is societal pressure out there that we should be doing the right thing for the collective good instead of doing the right thing for ourselves. So doing the work of showing that you thought about what the other person needs is often the way to get over that hump. The other thing I would say about women and negotiating is research shows that when we have the right information, we negotiate as well or better than men. And so the best way to get the most information is to be asking powerful questions and asking those up front. I tell women all the time, questions are proven to make anybody more money, but they will be especially effective for us, for women, because when we ask an open, powerful question, we're simultaneously going to get a lot of information, and we're also going to take down any defensiveness on the other side. So it's really a winning combination to set you up for a great deal.
What would be an example of an open, powerful question?
Tell me is the most powerful question you can ask in any scenario. Tell me how you normally like to work with people. Tell me about the last few events that have gone especially well from your perspective. Tell me about the last few folks you didn't like working with and what from your perspective went wrong there. By asking this question, you're getting a ton of information to help you craft the best deal, but also to help you craft the best event for the people who are going to be filling those seats. So I always say, never ask a question that somebody can say no to. You want to ask them a question starting with what? What are your biggest priorities? How? How do you normally like to work with people? Or tell me. Those are the questions that are going to get you the most information and be a great way to start that negotiation.
If you enjoyed this episode, do give us a 5-star review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. For more industry insights, visit pcma.org/convene. Until next time.